All right, hey everybody, we are back and we are going to do a podcast here for you. We are traveling. We're actually on our way down to Florida from my house in Georgia. My dad's not doing real good down here. Only a couple weeks to live. Hospice is involved, and he's not in any pain, but it's just getting down to the wire here. And I've been making a lot of trips back and forth. This 5.5 hour drive to go see him. So we're heading down here for the day to go see him again. Get down here as much as I possibly can here until it's over. But while we're doing it, we're going to do a podcast. I am running a lav mic on here, so hopefully it's good. But if you're hearing some background audio and some wind, remember I am in a Jeep, and do not have the insulation package on the top of the hardtop. We're in a Jeep. We got 35-inch tires. We're doing 84 miles an hour down the highway. So might get a little wind noise in there. If it is, apologize. If it bothers you and you don't like it, might be worth turning off and skipping this one, but it is what it is. We're going to see how it turns out. What we're going to talk about today, though, is maximizing your vehicle for hunting season and how you can make it take you to places that you need to. Kind of like how we use a boat and we use wiggy waders and things like that we use water access to get into remote places. You can take your truck for a very little amount of money to be able to get you into those places. It'll let you hunt places where other people aren't going to, which is more important now than it ever has been in the past. So we're going to dive into that. You don't need to have a Jeep to do this. We're going to talk about your standard full-size pickup truck and what you can do with it. Then we're also going to hit a little bit on the differences between doing something like that versus bringing a four-wheeler or a side-by-side. I've done both. I've done all. So that's kind of what we're looking at today, kind of a podcast on getting your vehicle up to snuff for hunting season. Now, what the advantage of it is, I'm not talking about taking your truck and just plowing through public lands and ripping through the woods and making your own trails and that kind of thing. What I'm talking about is being able to use this vast network system that our country has of what we call trail systems, where many of them today are abused by vehicles that are really big, running on 35, 40-inch tires, and these things are getting back in the woods, and what they do is they are access for us as public land hunters to get into places where other people do not hunt. That's the beauty of it. These trails go to those places, but your stock 1500, your stock F-150, your stock Ram 1500 or Chevy, they're not going into there. Okay, you're just not going to get in there with it. So how do we maximize that to give us that potential to get into these places that is farther than anybody else's truck can go, so we can then get back into those areas, park the truck, and then hike in and go hunt? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. Now, four-wheeler side-by-side access, some places will let you do that, but a lot of places will not, thank God. No offense, but I am against them running on public land. Even when I lived in Michigan, they were horrible, the way they're so bad. Now, on certain designated trails, I understand it. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. Like I said, always had four-wheelers, always had side-by-sides. We loved them, and they were fantastic. But I believe they should be kept on a trail system, just like vehicles have to be kept on a trail system. These things were just running everywhere and anyhow anyway when we were in Michigan. So with that said, those aren't bad, but I've done both. The problem with running a side-by-side or running a four-wheeler is you got to deal with a trailer. You got to deal with the gear. You got to switch gear from your truck to your quad or to your side-by-side. And when it's raining out, you're getting soaking wet on a four-wheeler, even in a side-by-side, unless you got a cab on it, where it's all enclosed and covered up. You're going to forget things that you want to take. You're not going to have your stuff with you. It's a pain in the butt to deal with on a daily basis. It might be all right for a hunting trip where you're going to go somewhere and then you're going to park your you're going to pull it off a trailer, leave the trailer parked, and you're going to use it for a week straight. That makes a lot more sense. But to do that every day, and to do it for even a 5-hour hunt, you're going to go out for the evening time, to have to go through the trouble at home to not only get all your gear ready, but then to hook up a trailer, put a load of quad up on it, drive this thing down there, pull the quad off the trailer, go out there, hunt for 3 hours in a stand, and all the work takes to do that, drive back, load your quad up, bring it back home, back to the trailer, and unload the quad, move the trailer to where it goes, unload all your gear. It's just not worth it. So having a side-by-side or a quad, like I said, I hunted a lot of ways that way, especially when I was hunting private lands down in Missouri. That's how we did it, was with a quad, but we were there for a week. Made life a heck of a lot easier than what it is now. Now the next thing, but with the truck, the thing we want to talk about with the truck is what you can do to get you into those places where, you know, like I said, if you own a stock F-150 or a stock Ram 1500, Silverado 1500, any of these kind of trucks, you need to know not only the capabilities your truck has already, which we'll cover, and then you need to know what you can do for very little amount of money to be able to get you better into those places. So when you take into consideration the truck you have, you want to know if it's actually got some features on it. First of all, if you have a Ram and it is what's called an off-road package, many people get the off-road package, and it's a great thing. If you have that, one of the key features you have is a locking rear differential. Okay, knowing how to use that rear locker is a game changer. Now, an F-150, if you have a sport package, it may have it. If you have an FX4 package, it does have it. Okay, it has a rear locking differential. If you have a Chevy 1500 Silverado or a GMC Sierra 1500, you have what's called a G80 rear locker automatically from the factory. Okay, little different than an electronic locker. I'll tell you about it in a second real quick, but these are great features. These offer tremendous ability, more so than most people even understand. Let's put it into perspective. So when you are in two-wheel drive with an open differential, which is what your truck is 99% of the time, when you're in two-wheel drive and one tire gets stuck on something slippery, in mud, whatever the case is, on snow, on ice, whatever wheel breaks traction first, that sets the torque parameters for the other wheel. Meaning that if you have one wheel on pavement and one wheel in the mud or on the ice, once the wheel on the ice starts to spin, the one that's on the pavement doesn't get any more power or traction than the one that's spinning. Okay, so you're stuck. So when putting that into perspective, the same thing happens in the front end. So let's put it into perspective. A two-wheel drive vehicle, when you are in slippery conditions, really is only a one-wheel drive vehicle, and it's the wheel that gets the least amount of traction that sets the deal, okay? That sets how much power, torque you can get to that wheel. It just is what it is. There's no two ways about it. It has to be that way for your truck to be able to make turns going down the road. As you're seeing here, I'm showing you a lot of dash cam footage as we're driving. So it's a two-wheel. So a truck is a two-wheel drive, or one-wheel drive in two-wheel drive, and the wheel that drives is the one that gets the least amount of power, or breaks loose the easiest. That is the one that wins, okay, and sets the parameters. When you have a four-wheel drive, when you put it into and you engage four-wheel drive, you think, oh, I got four-wheel drive, I can get through anything. No, you don't. You got two-wheel drive. When you engage four-wheel drive high or low, makes no difference, but when you engage four-wheel drive, what happens is you have the same exact system as we just talked about in the rear, and then you have the same exact system in the front, meaning that whichever wheel in the front loses traction first sets the parameters for the amount of power that goes to each wheel. Okay, basically meaning that you have no power. When one wheel breaks free, you're dead. That's all you get. Your other wheel will not give you any more power than the wheel that is already slipping. So even if it's on pavement, so you're like I said, if you imagine pulling over on the side of the road in an ice storm, you got two wheels on the pavement and you got two wheels sitting on the ice on the side of the road. If you are in two-wheel drive and you go to take off, that wheel that's on the ice is going to spin and your truck will not move. Even though you have a wheel on pavement, in order to push your vehicle, that wheel that's on the pavement, say it needs 50 foot-pounds of torque to be able to move your vehicle, but you only need 5 pounds of torque to spin that tire that's on the loose pavement, or I mean it's on the ice, the wheel that's on the pavement still only gets 5 pounds of torque, not the 50 required to move the vehicle and get traction on the pavement. See what I'm getting at here? And then in the front, the same exact thing happens. So when you're in four-wheel drive, you're only getting power in the front and the back to the wheels that have the least traction. So four-wheel drive vehicle is really a two-wheel drive, one wheel in the front, whichever one has the least traction, one wheel in the back, whichever has the least traction. That is just the way it works. There's no way around it. Again, it has to be that way for your vehicle to turn going down the road on pavement every day. That is what we call open differentials. So two-wheel drive is really one-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive is really two-wheel drive. Now the locker. Oh, the beautiful locker. When you engage that rear diff lock, okay, rear locker button, what happens is you now lock both rear wheels together. Okay, so if they're locked together, now they get power equally, 50-50 to each one, and it's not dictated by the wheel that gets the least amount of traction. It is now dictated by throttle response and power coming from the engine. Which means in that scenario, if you're sitting on the side of the road, two of your wheels are on pavement, two of them are on ice, and you hit the gas and it doesn't move because one wheel just sits there and spins. When you hit the locker button, let's actually take that scenario. Sitting on the side of the road, two wheels on pavement, two wheels on ice. Okay, four-wheel drive truck, you're in two-wheel drive. You go to take off, you hit the gas, one back wheel spins, you don't move. Like, dang, I'm stuck. You put it in four-wheel drive. What you get is you get two wheels, the two wheels that are on the side of the road in ice, one in the front, one in the back. They both spin. You still don't move. You're stuck, and you're right there, and you got two wheels on pavement, but you can't move. If you have a locker button, when you click on that locker, it locks both rear wheels together, and those wheels take the full power of the motor without any of this loss or resistance based on torque vectoring due to the loss of traction. So when you step on that gas, then the rear wheels are locked together and they get all the power from the motor. So you are now technically, what's going to happen is that wheel that's on the pavement will get the power it needs to move you forward. Okay, it's a beautiful thing. So a vehicle that is equipped with a rear locker not only in four-wheel drive becomes three-wheel drive, which is beautiful. Okay, you gain that extra wheel. It also gives you real power to that back axle in any situation. So it's very important that you buy your vehicles with this, in my opinion. I won't ever buy a vehicle without a locker in the rear. My Jeep has lockers in the rear and the front, which is the only way to get true four-wheel drive. Okay, I am the same scenario of everything that we talked about here, but when I can engage my rear locker and make it three-wheel drive. I can also engage my front locker and make it true four-wheel drive with full 100% of engine power going to all four wheels. That is a very rare thing and a beautiful thing. There's only a few vehicles that even offer this. It's the only one in the Jeep lineup is the Rubicon. The only two in the Chevy lineup is the Colorado ZR2 and the Silverado ZR2 1500. The Silverado 2500 does not offer it. Ford only offers it in one vehicle in their pickup truck line, which is the Ford Ranger Raptor. The F-150 Raptor doesn't offer it. The Broncos do. So there's, and then Ram, only vehicle that Ram makes that offers it other than this Jeep Gladiator Rubicon is the Power Wagon. Those are the only ones out there that have in the truck world that have a true front and rear locker. That's the reason I am sitting in this Jeep. The reason I own it is for the capabilities of that front and rear locker. True four-wheel drive capability. So understand what you have there if you have a locker in your truck and how important it really is. Now, if you have a Chevy pickup truck, okay, since the 1980s, Chevy has used what they call a G80 automatic rear locker. It is a beautiful system with a couple of flaws, but it is a beautiful system. How that works is what happens is, remember we talked about on there again, the side of the road, so we're stuck there. You got two wheels spin, you're in four-wheel drive, but even in two-wheel drive, the G80 still works and it's automatic. You don't have to mess with it. That's the beauty of it. But so you're sitting on the side of the road 2 wheels on the ice, 2 wheels on the pavement, you go and nothing happens. And in any other vehicle, you got to basically kick in the locker to even get the vehicle to move in some of those situations. The GM, if you hit the gas and it'll spin, and then you're going to let off, and you're going to go, oh, I'm stuck. And what you did was the exact wrong thing. Okay, when you're in a GM truck and you hit the gas and the back wheels start to spin and you go, oh, and you let off because you think you're stuck. You just give up and let off. That's where the mistake happens. The G80 locker requires 100 RPM of wheel speed from the one it doesn't get, it doesn't have good traction. And then gears will go and lock together. And then the other one, now the axle is locked, and it will now give like a true rear locker. But it takes 100 RPMs of wheel speed to engage that locker, and then when it locks up, it's a true dedicated locker. So in a GM vehicle, when you're starting to slip and you're stuck, rather than let off the gas, hit the gas a little harder, let that thing hit 100 RPM wheel speed, and then those axles will lock together, and then it's going to shoot you. It's abrupt. You'll feel it. It'll be, and it'll jerk you and shoot you out of there, but it's going to lock up that rear end for you. So, and many people don't even know that. And every GM truck since the 80s, for the most part, has got a G80 locker in it. Any of their off-roady kind of trims, Trail Boss, Z71, any of these ones are going to have that in there. So that G80 rear locker is a beautiful thing. It's always on, it's always available, and it's always used. The kicker is you got to hit 100% or 100 RPM of wheel speed to get that thing to actually engage for you to be able to use it. That's the downside to it, but it is mechanical, it is functional, it works, and you get it for free without upgrading any packages, where on all the other brands you got to pay for an off-road package, FX4 package, that kind of thing to get those. So something to think about. So anyway, if you have that rear locker, understand the power, potential, and capability of what that thing can do for you. It is a beautiful, beautiful system that so few people understand how important it is. But once you know how your four-wheel drive system works, like I just told you and explained all that for the last 15 minutes, when you know that, you know what your vehicle's capable of and what it's not capable of, how to get it unstuck, how to use it, how it's going to be done, and what can happen with it. So there's a lot of nice stuff in here to remember. I would, if you don't know this stuff, it might even be worth pausing this, going back and listening to those last 10 minutes again, so that the reality of this sinks in and you can visualize how your vehicle works. Four-wheel drive is not four-wheel drive, okay? And it doesn't work that way. So hopefully all that makes sense. All right, what about limited slip differentials as far as computer algorithmically controlled torque vectoring, LSD, limited slip diff? So Toyota does this really, really good, and so does Jeep. Ford does it pretty good, and Ram does it good. Like Ram does it pretty good too. Nissan not so much. Chevy a little less than Ford. They kind of go in this order as far as the quality of the limited slip differential sets, computer controlled systems, and we'll tell you what it is. But basically you got Toyota at the very top, then you go to Jeep, then you're going to go to Ford, then you're going to go to Ram, then you're going to go to Chevy, then you're going to go to Nissan, okay? That's basically how this works. But what this is where, again, like if you're stuck on that side of the road, 2 wheels in the ice, 2 wheels on the pavement, when the computer senses those wheels slipping on the ice, it says, hey, you know what, he's not moving, and those wheels are just spinning, and therefore it's not getting the torque amount that we need to the other wheels. Let's help him out. And what it does is it applies brake pressure through the ABS system to those spinning wheels, and by putting pressure and clamping down on those brakes and putting pressure there, the system knows, remember we said that your output for your wheels is the amount of torque that gets to the wheels is controlled by the amount of force needed for the slipping wheel. Okay, the slipping wheel sets the torque parameters. So what happens is the computer says, hey, he's not moving, and he should be. Let's put the brakes on the wheel that's slipping, which will make it harder for that wheel to turn, and it jumps that torque parameters up higher, and now you get to the point where you get your other wheel that's on the pavement has enough torque sent to it so that it can move you. So it'll use that algorithmically controlled LSD, applies the brake to the spinning wheel to transfer more power basically to the other wheel that has traction to move you. Now that is a good system. Like I said, Toyota does it really good. Jeep is phenomenal at it. Ford does a really good job at it. Well, you do have those in many vehicles too. So there's always that option, but again, you have to understand how the system works and when to use it. So this stuff is all pretty important. Now, how do you get your vehicle ready to be able to go into places where you'd normally never think of taking it, or you don't think it's going to get to? There is one thing that you can do that is more powerful than everything else. I don't care about lifts. Lifts are irrelevant, okay? And lifts make, it's not like you're using your vehicle to hunt with every single day of the week. So modifying it out, there's a reason that my Gladiator is not running on 37s or 40s with a 3-inch lift on it, okay? I still got to drive it 40,000 miles a year. You got to find balance in here in what to do with it. Well, here's some tips for your hunting truck that will let you still daily drive it regularly and not have any issues, but yet when hunting season rolls around, turn it into a hunting beast that's going to let you get into places and do things. So what I want, the most important thing that you can do to your truck that's going to make it more capable than anything else is tires, okay? And I'm not talking about all-terrain tires. Now, you can do that. I run all-terrains on my Jeep. Now, the reason I'm getting away with running all-terrains is because I do have front and rear lockers. If I owned a vehicle that did not have front, so for example, say I owned a Colorado Trail Boss or a Ford F-150, something like that, Ram 1500, I would put mud tires on it, mud terrain tires on there. Now, would I run mud terrain tires year-round? I would, because I hunt year-round down here in the swamps. If I was somebody who did not hunt year-round and just hunted for 3 months of the year, I would buy some. You can get rims, tires or rims, wheels for your truck. You can get wheels that range from like $75 a piece, okay? They're not expensive. You can even get them cheaper than that sometimes too, but let's just say you paid $75. That's $300 total cost for 4 rims, okay? 4 wheels. And then you buy mud terrain tires, the biggest you can fit on your vehicle without rubbing or any issues. So on most full-size trucks, that's probably going to be a 34. That's probably what you're going to get. So something like a big 33 or a 34. You got to check and see what your vehicle's capable of. Some might even be able to do better, but very rarely can a truck take 35s without lift kits or levels or anything like that. But get yourself a set of rims and some wheels, and then get a set of mud terrain tires put on them. You can go to places online and you can order the rims and the tires, and like Extreme, I think that's where we bought the ones for Tina's last Ram. They were amazing. I think it was Tradtrackr or something like that I bought the wheels for the last Jeep. They're everywhere online. Simple Tire, Discount Tires Direct, okay? A lot of these places will mount the rims and tires for you. Do it all. You can buy them in one fall swoop of everything in one shot. They're free shipping, and they show up at your house on a pallet, shipped by UPS, 3 days later. But get yourself a whole wheel combo. And if you want to skip out on the TPMS sensors, save yourself that few $100, couple $100. You don't need them. It doesn't matter. You're going to run, you might even want to air them down anyway. So, and if you're not running them year round, and you're just going to put them on for hunting seasons, forget the TPMS sensors in them and let your gauge just have let your light be on your dash telling you that you got low tire pressure. Who cares? And save the money on them. But buying those mud terrain tires, something good, and they're dirt cheap. Look at like Milestar Patagonia 2s, okay? These tires are pretty good in price. There's a lot of them out there by Kendall. There's a ton of really good mud terrain tires that are not expensive that you can put on your truck. And then what you do is, so let's say you're hunting October, November, and December. So, right before hunting season, you swap these out. You can do it yourself, or you can throw the 4 wheels in the bed of your truck, go up to Discount Tire, and they're going to swap them for you for $15. That's what it costs you to take off your stock wheels and put these on. 15 bucks. And then so then you put those on, stick your originals in your garage or in your shed or behind your house or whatever you got to do. And now for those 3 months, you run those mud terrain tires for hunting season. They're going to change. They are a game changer on your truck. I ran mud terrains on my Jeeps in the past, and the difference between mud terrain and all terrain is huge, especially when you have a vehicle that relies on only 2 wheels driving it, one in the front, one in the rear. Having traction is vital, okay, because of your open differential. Now, if you got a rear locker, you're going to get 3 wheels running, okay? With the front and rear lockers, I get 4 wheels running. But the point being, mud terrains are going to be the #1 most powerful thing that you can do that will get you traction in all these kind of conditions and situations. Falcon also makes an amazing Wild Peak mud terrain tire that's incredible, okay? A lot of people, BF Goodrich does, Nitto does. There's a lot of great ones out there, but don't think they have to be the expensive brand name ones, okay? Mud terrains are there's a lot of great off brands, like I said, like Kendall and Patagonia and all these kind of things. They do fantastic, okay? They're absolutely perfect. The Milestars is who makes those ones. But mud terrains, game changer. Straight up game changer. Down here in Georgia, so many people run them 24/7 nonstop, are running mud terrains because of the swamps down here in the mud. I get it. I'm actually, even with my Jeep, I am thinking about putting mud terrains on it next time and just dealing with them. Now, mud terrains are going to wear down quicker. They're going to be noisier. They're going to vibrate more. So like I said, realistically, unless you're hunting year round, it would be worth your investment to spend the $300 or $250 or whatever and get some cheap wheels. You can probably get steel wheels, which look tough as nails anyway, and they are, but you could get steel wheels for probably $45-50 a piece and put those tires, you know, so it's not expensive to do this. But by having those, you are set up 100% to take your truck to levels that nothing else can matter to it. So then what do you do next after that? Next thing that I would recommend doing is during hunting season is take off the valance on the front of that thing, okay? You got all that plastic stuff underneath your bumper on the front. Most of it, depending on the vehicle, will come off. Those little chin spoilers and things that are on there, unbolt those and take those things right off, because then you get more approach angle and you're not going to be flexing, cracking, putting stress marks across them and beating up those valances on there. Take it off during hunting season. Take it off and leave it off as far as I'm concerned, but at least during hunting season, get that off so you got the capability. Remove your hitch too. Your hitch is going to hang up on there. They hang down. Your hitch isn't necessarily hanging down too far unless you got a drop hitch, but it sticks out so much farther that when you are on an approach that sticks out there so far, the hitch will hit the ground and it lifts your truck off, reducing the weight and that you have on your rear axle, meaning that your tires are just going to spin. You don't have any traction. So my opinion, take the hitch off during hunting season. Even if you're pulling a trailer to go hunt somewhere, or your boat or something, when you're going to go exploring with your truck, take the hitch off. Because if you get stuck with the hitch on, you can't then take it off to give you that freedom again. You're stuck with it on. So take the hitch right off the truck. Don't even mess with it. All right, now the next thing you want to make sure you have with you too is going to be a tire repair kit, a plug kit. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but throw one in your truck, because when you're out there, if something does go wrong, trying to use a jack and a change your spare is not going to be a great, easy thing to do. So carry a tire repair kit. Now, the rest of your capability is going to come in the fact that if you do get stuck, you want recovery options. But I cannot emphasize enough how far you will be able to go with mud terrain tires versus your regular tires you have on your truck. On a scale of distance, let's say that let's just use it, put it in a simple perspective. If you can go down a bad trail a quarter mile with your truck in stock configuration, you'll be able to go 3/4 of a mile with mud tires further down. You understand what I'm getting at? I can't emphasize enough how it is a minimum of a 50% of traction multiplier, okay? It is incredible what mud terrain tires can do for you in those kind of situations. So and then also knowing how your system works, how your four-wheel drive system works in your car. On my Samco channel, it's actually called Jason Samco, at Jason-Samco is the YouTube channel. It's my other channel. On there, I've got a lot of videos that explain computer-controlled LSD, traction control versus no traction control, lockers. I got a lot of videos that explain all this stuff for you if you want to go watch them. So that's always an option for you. Now, another thing that you want to do now is have ways to get out. Having somebody be able to come and pull you out is a great thing, but understand that there is so much limitation to that people, again, they do not realize. They do not understand. We'll cover that. But at the bare minimum, you need a saw. A good folding hand saw is a great idea. And it's even not a bad idea to bring a bigger bow saw, something that can cut through some stuff if trees come down, things like that, and block you in. But or even a chainsaw. They got these battery operated chainsaws now that I thought about getting and putting in my truck during hunting season. Would probably not be a bad idea. You know, they're little 20 volt chainsaws by DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita, all that kind of stuff has them. But having a saw, even a folding hand saw, is vitally important to have out there. Having at least 1 or 2 recovery straps. I prefer a 20-foot and a 30-foot. Have those. And then, a few soft shackles to be able to connect things together is one thing. But the most important is to have that saw. That saw will let you make your own traction boards out of saplings to be able to get you out of holes. If you're high centered, you can use your jack, and you can cut with that saw and make a base plate if you need to for the jack. And then you can use your jack, your scissor or bottle jack or whatever your vehicle comes with to jack it up, and then you can put saplings underneath of it to get the clearance. You know, a jack and a saw will get you out of a lot of situations, okay? It's a beautiful, the saw is one of the most important. Now, this third one is a shovel. Okay, little mini shovel, but you gotta have one. Just throw it in they're like $12. Buy one and just fling it in the back of your truck and let it sit there for the hunting season. It's fine. Don't even have to worry about strapping it down, locking it down. Just throw it in there. It's gonna be good, and it's gonna work, and it's gonna be there when you need it. It is vitally important. Now, understand this as far as somebody recovering you before we get into the next aspect of this, because we got more important stuff to cover. But you may not be able to get unstuck by somebody pulling you out. Everybody thinks that a vehicle's got the strength and all that kind of things, and I get it, and usually it can, but it doesn't take a lot of force to stop a vehicle. For example, my Gladiator, your full-size truck, put it in simple terms, it will only take, even if I'm in here and I stomp on the brakes and I hold my truck as steady as I can be and I lock it down, it only takes 3,000 pounds of energy at most to drag my truck with me stomped on the brakes. Before you only have traction of the little patches that your tires touches the ground is all a vehicle gets. It takes less than 3,000 pounds to drag a vehicle locked up with you stomping on the brakes, okay? So keep that in consideration. If you're in a full-size truck and you get it stuck in the mud, for example, and you think another truck's going to come and pull you out, that truck that's trying to pull you out can only pull about 3,000 pounds. Okay, he might be able to hit it with a little bit of a jerk and get up to 4,500 pounds, but he can only pull 3,000 pounds before he sits there and just spins his tires and he can't move. Are you stuck more than 3,000 pounds? Usually in the mud, yes you are. Okay, often you are, especially when you're dug in pretty deep. What happens then is your vehicle, there's rules and settings for that, basically, where you should be at. But if you're in the mud, it can be 1.5 times the weight of your vehicle, up to 2 times the weight of your vehicle, depending on how sunk you are. If you are driving around in a 5,000 pound full-size truck and you are sunk down to the axles in mud, you're going to need 7,500 pounds of force to pull you out. Another vehicle is not going to be able to provide that kind of force to do it. So you got to, again, like the rear locker, like the open differentials, like the limited slip differentials. Okay, this isn't as cookie cutter as the world wants you to believe it is. Okay, it's not quite so simple. There's reasons that a Gladiator like I'm in can move a 30,000 pound excavator with ease. Okay, and that's because you got to understand the physics and the dynamics and how things work and how to use them. And that's the key to everything that you got to be there with your truck. So having a couple of tow straps and somebody be able to get you out's good. A kinetic rope is maybe good, but I'll tell you what, these kinetic ropes are, they're going to cause more problems than they are anything else because people don't know how to use them right. Okay, and they're blowing, they're killing people and hurting people, and bad things are happening and stuff like that. It's basically a big rubber band that you're stretching between two vehicles. Things can go wrong real quick, especially if you do not understand weight ratings, your pull points, things like that. I don't recommend them. Okay, I carry one. I don't carry a kinetic rope. I carry a ARB snatch strap, which is elastic. Same kind of concept, but I know how to use it. And it makes a big difference. Okay, when somebody gets stuck and I can't pull them out with a recovery strap, that kinetic strap makes a big difference. However, is it a do-all? No, it's not. Okay, even the last time I used it, we tried pulling with a recovery strap, did nothing. I put on the kinetic strap, it did nothing. I wasn't going to pull it real hard. I don't want to break anything on either vehicle or put anybody's life in danger. So instead, we cracked out the shovels and dug 80% of that out, then used the kinetic and we pulled them out of there. So understand the reality of that. Now, what can you do is your best option for self-recovery if you're back in these remote places where you don't even got to rely on somebody else to get you out, if they even could get you out, depending on how stuck you are. What we are talking about here is a winch. Now, if you want to put a winch on the front of your vehicle, you can, but it sucks. Okay, it sucks because it's not just going and buying a winch and slapping it on a winch plate on the front of your vehicle. Most of the time it means you need a new bumper on the front, and then it means you need new springs in the front and new shocks in the front to accommodate the extra 150 pounds of bumper and winch that you just put on there. Otherwise, your nose is going to sag and it's going to feel like a limp noodle when you're driving, and you don't want that. So rather than thinking that a $500 winch is your save-all to put on the front end, it's really more like a $2,000 deal to get it done right, or $2,500, and you may not want to go that route. And I don't blame you, because then your winch sits out in the sun all the time and in the elements, and it's probably not going to work when you need it because you're not testing it regularly and it's sitting outside. So they can be a problem. So what do? I have a video on this channel. I will link it at the end of this. You can make your own winch, or buy a winch, put it on a winch cradle that goes into your rear hitch, and then set up with a pair of big jumper cables that you buy that are already preset with Anderson connectors. And if you get stuck, you take that winch out of the bed of your truck, plug it into your hitch receiver, run the wire just, out of the bed of the truck over your side door mirror, and then hook it to your battery under the engine compartment. It takes 2 minutes, and now you have a full winching cable. You have a full winch setup for your vehicle, which will get you out of anything. Remember, in mud, the suction from mud too. Let's say that same scenario we were talking about. Your truck, your 5,000 pound trunk is stuck in the mud with up to the axles, and now it's basically 7,500 pounds of pull force needed to move it. However, that 7,500 pounds of force is stuck, and it takes 10,000 pounds to initially break the suction to start it moving. Then it's 7,500 to pull. Okay, so this is real world scenarios here on how bad it's going to get. So having a winch that is capable of pulling slowly, which you hit the three and then you let off, give it a chance to break that suction, and then you can hit it again, and you can let it work. Winching is often the only way out of the mud. Another vehicle hits too hard too fast and loses its energy to be able to pull you out of mud. So a winch is a absolutely phenomenal idea to have with you. So it's a great thing you can do. I built mine for less than, now I got mine actually for free because of what I do for the channel, but you can buy the same exact setup, even a winch bolt 13 or X-Bull, I got an X-Bull, and it doesn't matter if it's X-Bull, Open Road, Harbor Freight, they're all the same winch, okay? They're all the same thing. There's like 3 places in China that build winches, and they all build them for every brand, even most of the Warns, except for the very high end, but many of the Warn winches you buy, they're even made in China, so don't be fooled, okay? But X-Bull, Open Road, Rough Country, these are all fantastic winches, and they're affordably priced. I think the price of my 13,500 pound synthetic line X-Bull winch is like $350. So it's not a bad price. Then it was another $79 for the hitch cradle. So for basically, and then you count the jumper cables to hook it up, you're $500, and you have a 13,000 pound synthetic line winch system that you can mount on the bed of your truck or on the hitch in your truck and pull you out of anything you could ever get into. Again, I will link those videos at the end of this. So now you have, as long as you got something to tie off to, you are in good shape. If you're going to do that, I would also then throw into your kit, I would throw in another a 20-foot strap to use as a tree saver. Okay, they make 8-foot tree savers. They work too if you want to, but if you don't want to buy a weird little short 8-footer, go ahead and get a 20-foot strap. But either way, you're going to want a strap to be an extra strap so you can use it as a tree saver around a tree. And then I would put another 20-footer in there or 30-footer in there too, just in case you got to reach out a little farther than your 80-foot line to be able to get to a tree to pull yourself out. So, but that system will get you out of anything. So imagine if you took your standard F-150, Ram 1500, Chevy Silverado 1500 that does pretty good for you, and you take it on your hunting trips and you're like, it's a nice truck. Imagine what a beast you could turn it into if you had those mud terrain tires and wheel combo that you can throw on right before the season, and then you had a portable winch setup that was in the back of the truck that took 2 minutes to set up under your cap or your tonneau cover, out of the elements and protected and ready to go, just strapped down in the bed of your truck, ready to be used when you need it. Think about the places you could take that vehicle to get you away from other people. It's a beautiful system. It does a lot of amazing things for you. So just some food for thought, things that you can do with this and where it can take you and how it can get you away from people. So hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, I'll make a couple more of these for you as well too. Kind of nice to sit back and do a podcast type setup again. So, all right, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.